Hello, Reject Nation. It's Greg Alba here.
And I'm John.
It's interesting filming knowing this will go up on YouTube.
Yeah, right? Feels new all of a sudden.
After we gave the announcement video that we are back on YouTube, we watched Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. The highly anticipated sequel that we've been wanting all these years has finally arrived in the format we've all been wanting it to be in. No one's been upset and no one's childhood has been ruined whatsoever. With a solid 80-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, it must be a good movie, right? Well, before we go into a review, we want to give one more thank you to our friends over at Stardust. Stardust is an awesome app that The Real Rejects has partnered up with. It's an app that allows you to do 30-second reviews for any TV show, film, or trailer even, and we've been using it a hell of a lot right now. They've been great to us. We're almost at 2,300 followers, so if you haven't followed us yet, download the app and follow us first, especially because a lot of your favorite YouTubers are also using it as well. And like we promised for our movie reviews, we'll feature some of our followers' reactions. Here you go.
Hey guys, so I just got out of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
I suppose it's a fun family adventure, not really original.
Sometimes you just need a little fun when you go to the movies. Jumanji's a lot of fun.
I enjoyed it and had lots of laughs. It takes everything that you knew, flips it on its head. There are some problems, some of the CGI's kind of lame, and the dialogue, of course, gets cringy at times.
It's something you can take the whole family to.
I think the best part was the dynamic between the Jumanji cast.
Apart from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being badass awesome.
Alright guys, so download the app and follow us first. Now here's our review of Jumanji. Okay, walking into this movie, I wasn't exactly hyped for it, nor was I not looking forward to this film. I feel like even in the trailers, I've been saying in the reactions that I don't feel like my childhood's gonna be ruined. I'm not gonna revisit the first Jumanji before watching this, because if anything, it might make me hate this one even more. I feel like I'd be able to just accept what this film is on its own merits if I don't have the original one really fresh in my mind. Going into this film with that clean slate, I walked out just going, it's alright, it's okay. I don't love it, I don't hate it. It's the definition of just an okay film to me.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time at the theaters on a Friday night or something like that. This is the first movie in a while where I saw the trailer and the movie was exactly what I expected it to be.
I thought
almost nothing was more or less than I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was less fun than I anticipated it to be
fun.
honest.
You know,
yeah,
fun?
it's technically fun. At the same time, though, all I wanted out of it was, okay, I don't need this to be better than the first Jumanji. When I saw that it stars The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black, all three who I think are great in comedies and often have had films where I am dying of laughter from some of their jokes. This film never had that a single moment for me where I was like, like I just cracked up at something one of them said or did. And that was a missing element for me, was honestly the comedy just wasn't that strong to me. There's moments where I chuckled, there's moments where I kind of laughed. There was never really that one moment, just even one where I'm like, wow, that was a hilarious
like a belly
scene.
laugh or something.
Yeah, and I feel like when you got those stars in this movie, you should have at least one of those moments. At least one.
I see how it guides your expectations casting two mega comedy stars in a movie like this, but I never expected it to be a flat-out comedy. I expected there to be a good amount of banter-based humor and a lot of action-adventure. I felt like the comedy would be present, but not focal force of the movie, you know? Like,
really?
I don't know. I felt like it would be an action-adventure comedy. I didn't think it would need to be like jokes every few minutes, because I feel like the adventure needs to continue at a clip.
I feel like as the comedy was going, I think they did a lot of repetition with the jokes, a lot of callbacks. And there were some jokes that they just kept repeating that I didn't even find funny the first time they said it. And it doesn't become funnier the more they say it, it just kind of becomes annoying.
They come out and tell you things that you remember. It doesn't always give you the credit for remembering who the characters are and why this joke is funny, so they'll directly address certain things. And yeah, it does stall the comedic momentum a little bit.
Like a couple of examples I can give you is the joke of how Jack Black originally, which is not in the video game, it's a girl, and now Jack Black is an overweight, middle-aged man. She really wants her phone the whole time.
No! I'm an overweight, middle-aged man. Wait a second, where's my phone?
And it's like that joke just kept getting beat to the ground. And another one, too, is Kevin Hart's character is this zoologist guy who knows a lot about animals. So when he's in the game, he's going to know a lot of facts about animals. And every time he spits out a bunch of facts about animals, it's always followed up with the same joke, which is, how do I know that? How do I know this? I don't know how I know this. It's the same joke over and over again.
You would get used to it, and then you would know how.
Yeah, and the adventure moments are fun.
It's a video game. It's
enjoyable.
It is a very linear, it's almost like After Earth, where it's just like, okay, now we gotta go do this, and now we go do that. And then we're gonna, do the next task, and the next task.
Oh, yeah. And in a lot of ways, I respected that. I actually like the format of how they each have 3 lives. They can die 3 times before their life is actually over, before it's game over. And I like the riffs it makes on how video games work when they make fun of cutscenes, when they make fun of how you encounter characters who just repeat the same exact line of dialogue over and over again. The feeling of, I feel like I'm watching a movie that's bigger than it's actually making me feel. Like it's this big adventure, this land of awe and jungles and whatever. But then when I'm watching it, I'm not really feeling all that excited about it. It's really just an okay experience. It's really like, that's something to pass the time right there. Where, despite what you might think of the first Jumanji, I feel like there is a sense of wonder and awe. And I haven't seen that movie in many years, but I remember that feeling pretty well. There's a magic about it.
Yeah,
and this doesn't have any of that.
And this is more focused on being a modern, straightforward, action adventure comedy. It feels more like a movie, whereas Jumanji kind of felt like a film, with its own earmarks and its own traits. I mean, this for me was just brisk and amusing and enjoyable and fun, and it never.
At times I was kind of bored.
I never got bored, and
Really?
never spent that much time on almost anything. Partly, I kind of was happy it wasn't like, hey, comedy. I was like, oh, cool. It's kind of more on an adventure. It's taking the adventure elements more seriously, because I thought some of the action was actually intense, and some of the action was actually shot pretty well. That whole first sequence where they got all those motorcycles and they're like trying to evade and stuff like that. Like
after
and
that,
a lot of the disasters in the helicopter scene. A couple of the hand-to-hand fights aren't tremendous, but there are some moments where those even got to be fun, where they're showing how crazy strong the Rock is, and I thought they got a lot of mileage out of that stuff, because usually I don't know how Jake Kasdan would have directed action, and I was surprised that it looked better than I thought it would. That's important for a movie like this one that is also ramping up the action specifically, because the original Jumanji isn't like a fighting action movie or a guns action movie.
It's an adventure movie.
It's an adventure, yeah. So the action part, I thought they handled pretty well.
I guess. I mean, I feel like there's a couple of moments or scenes that I thought were kind of cool. I really just felt like I was intermittently feeling like I was entertained. The Rock's good in it. Kevin Hart is good in it. Jack Black and Karen Gillan, they're all good. And one person who surprised me that I was like, hey, I really like him in this, was Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas ends up being the character I actually cared the most about. He's the only one where I actually felt stakes. Everyone else, I'm like, whatever. But Nick Jonas's character, he comes in late into the film, but when he comes in and you learn about who he is, he's the one who I felt like, I'm concerned. I hope he survives this mission. He's the only one I felt that way about.
I've kind of heard that he's a pretty alright actor, and I liked him in this. I didn't love him considerably more than anybody else, really.
He has less to do.
Yeah, I kind of felt on the same level about everybody. I thought the ensemble in general had a nice chemistry. I thought everybody had their moments. I thought they brought a lot of good character to it, even if they didn't all match their teenage counterparts. Jack Black matches his the most.
That was also an issue I had with the film, was why is only Jack Black the one who's trying to actually match his teenage counterpart? Kevin Hart and The Rock, they're just kind of doing their own thing and doing them. Whereas Jack Black has a lisp and mannerisms and is doing things that embody the teenage version.
Well, I mean, your posture and the way you speak are going to carry over into whatever body your brain is still the same, and those are all brain functions.
That's my point, is Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson don't do that.
Karen Gillan, I thought, kind of does, because she affects the more awkward, she does physical things to clue you into oh yeah, okay, I kind of get that you're not who you look like. And I thought The Rock did too. I thought he did the shy. It's just that none of them are as a big a character as a Valley girl obsessed with her phone is. It's like nerd guy, jock guy, intelligent, very pretty, but somehow we're pretending you're not pretty girl, and then Valley girl. And so she's the biggest of all those characters to me, even in the beginning, because she's doing the most outlandish stuff in the prologue too. She's on her phone in the middle of class. Everybody else has an understandable thing that winds them in trouble and gets them in this whole situation in the first place, except for her. She's the most outlandish of the three of them.
No, I get it. I do. I'm not saying what Jack Black did was wrong. I thought it was distracting, though, that he was the only one.
He was my favorite character.
Because Kevin Hart, and no, a lot of people are actually saying that. I was distracted by it because Kevin Hart's speech pattern or rhythm is Jack Black changes his. He has the lisp, he has the delivery, that's all like a Valley girl. Whereas Kevin Hart is coming from a character who's an athletic jock from high school and has a very specific way of coming across. None of that translates into Kevin Hart's performance. The
still
Rock
talks like Kevin
is
Hart.
doing the nervous, he's doing the things on paper that he's supposed to do, but none of it reminds me of the teenage version. The only one that reminded me of the teenage version was Jack Black. So it kind of has both factors. One is, that's why Jack Black's the best. And another part is, that's why I was kind of distracted by Jack Black.
Yeah, for
Because the other actors were not doing it as strongly as Jack Black was.
The only issue I had with this movie overall, and it's not really that big of an issue because, you know, the movie's not concerned with being overly dramatic, but Bobby Cannavale is in here as ostensibly the villain, and I feel like we're doing a lot of these adventure or you know, sci-fi action movies where we're just forgetting about the villain as a character, and I thought the design and the idea of him was cool, but I'm you got Bobby Cannavale and he pops up every couple minutes.
Yeah.
I thought I could have used a stronger villain of some kind to make the
writing or Bobby?
Just the writing of that character. I thought he did a fine job. At the end, I was halfway on that character the whole time. I was I'm intrigued, and we're wrapping up.
Yeah, he's a character with a cool power, a really strong power, yet it's not really utilized to the strength that it could have been.
Yeah,
I just felt like this film was lacking in a lot of areas, to be honest. I feel like if you amped up the villain and amped up his and really utilized the powers they established for him, that would have made the whole adventure a lot more interesting. I mean, I don't think this movie is necessary to do a spoiler talk on, but I'll also say that there were some reveals by the end of this movie, the way they tie it into the original Jumanji, that actually made the universe of Jumanji actually make less sense based off of certain, maybe I'll do some reply to someone or something one day. There were things about the way it all concludes in the end where I'm wait a minute, but the way it plays out for Robin Williams' character in the beginning of Jumanji, this doesn't make sense. But other than that, if all you really cared about was just an enjoyable film that has moments of excitement in it and some amusing comedy, it hits the mark pretty much, I think. A little bit less than I would have liked, but overall, yeah, I think it's all right.
Yeah, it's not dynamite, but it's well made enough. It's straightforward enough. The cast is all pretty good. The adventure is fun. I don't think it's gonna stick with anybody the way the first one did, but it's definitely a fun time at the theater. I thought, you know, it did some things more than I thought and some things less than I thought. So I kind of come out in a pleasant middle ground.
All right, guys. Well, did you see Jumanji? Welcome to the Jungle. Did it ruin your childhood? Comment below. You can subscribe to The Real Rejects. Please click that notification bell. You can follow us on social media. Download and follow us at the Stardust app, people. And become a Patreon eject today. Over at Patreon, it's become our second YouTube channel. A lot of fun exclusive perks over there. Exclusive video content, and especially check it out.